I did everything that a good person should do or a good woman should do, you know. I went to college, then I met my partner, then I got married, then I had children, then I adopted a child, and you know, I was doing everything right. I had a little farm where I was taking care of my stuff. Things were going so beautifully, and I was just doing all the right things, and I think I was like a big people pleaser, which I still am. So I would do everything just so that everyone would think I am good, you know. But at some point you realize that you're actually failing. If you're not doing it from like deep inside, like,
intent.
Yes, with the right intent, then you're not really succeeding at even being that good person or being perceived as that. And then at some point I said, you know, it doesn't matter to me actually what people think of me or what people say. I'm going to do what feels right and what feels authentic to me. And it's still a journey, it's not easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lalith Dhanush show. I'm super excited and stoked to have the first painter come muralist on our show. Nidhi today is going to talk to you about her journey, which is super inspiring, and every aspiring artist or a woman going through turmoil should watch this episode for amazing amounts of inspiration. Watch this entire episode and do let me know what you feel about it down in the comment section below. Hi Nidhi, welcome to my show. And I've known you for some time on Instagram because of Anahita. And I know you're an artist, and I noticed that you have tattoos on your hand.
Yes.
I'm a tattoo buddy too. So tell me about your tattoos.
Most of them are botanical art, like leaves and ferns and animals and stuff like that. So I just plan to make a piece of art on my arm, which is like full of everything that I like to paint. And
Wow.
Yeah. So
I also realized that's also very close to what you do as an artist.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw your Instagram page, I must say, I was like, whoa. Because on a very personal side, I love floral art. I love botanical art. It calms your mind. It suits your mind in many ways. So tell me about the art you do.
So I should say that I started painting when I was very young, and my mother and my grandfather would be my biggest influence because they were nature lovers, and you know, like they loved the earth, they loved the planet. And my grandfather was, he would take me for walks in the afternoons, in the evenings. When I was small, I remember those were the best times that I would spend when I went to Chennai for holidays and things like that, where he'll carry me and take me around the block, and we'd pluck little flowers and he'll explain them to me and stuff. So I think it started there, my love for nature. And I do feel like now when I think about it, you know, I think I have such a deep love for it, you know, such a deep love. And how I would explain it is, if you look at a sapling, like I always think of these little tree saplings that we plant, and the sapling is in no hurry to grow, no hurry to kind of show its character or become big so quickly. It's in no hurry. We as people are the ones who are like spraying stuff on it and, you know, trying so hard for this thing to grow quickly. But I feel like tree saplings or plants, whatever, they're always looking for the right environment to flourish, you know. And I do look at myself like that. I've said many times that I'm a late bloomer in life as a person, and you know, everything. So I feel like for myself as well, I'm one of those tree saplings that finally, I think 5 years ago, found the right environment for myself to kind of say, okay, I'm going to now put my roots down and I'm going to grow and flourish. I'm in no hurry. And you know, you take years and build character and everything. And yeah, so that's where it is with my art as well, where you know, I found my roots now, and yeah, I'm in flow. So yes.
So I think for me, in what you just said,
Yeah.
I could nitpick a couple of things that resonate a lot with me. Number one is when I work with 18 to 25-year-olds in my career workshops, one of the things that I realize is that a lot of these people feel entitled. And it was just not them. I'm sure even us at 18 would feel like, hey, everything is going to happen to me. You know, success is just going to knock on my doorstep. All of these thoughts do come. And the way you put it across, I think, was beautiful, because you need the right environment, you need the right nutrition, you need the right love, nurturing. And all of these things then give you the fruit or the flower, not immediately, but after a certain period of time.
Yes.
And I think that's beautiful. And the second part of it, I think, is where you said, for the last 5 years, that you've been able to really grow in your own beautiful ecosystem. It reminds me of the Chinese bamboo tree analogy that most of these motivational speakers use. They say that, a Chinese bamboo tree takes about a few years to grow its roots, and it does not have a single sprouted leaf. But on the 6th year or on the very next year after its root system is grown, it grows 10 times the expected rate. And I think that's a true analogy. So tell me about the last 5 years. Why do you feel right in your ecosystem?
I don't know if I told you this before, but I was meant to do medicine when I was in school. My parents, I come from that generation where my parents are like engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. And I did my medical exam and everything. I got through to one college, and then like last minute I said, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I'll just go to regular. I'll go do my degree somewhere. So it was that, and my mother still sometimes says things like, oh, my daughter, she was supposed to be wielding a stethoscope, but she's holding a brush and walking around. But okay, what to do, like that, and she's doing fine, There was this thing like, oh, am I really an artist? Am I good enough? I had this struggle with myself actually, where I wouldn't put out my work as much. I was always doing art. I was always doing projects, art projects and things like that, but doing graphic design on the side. But I think over the last 5 years, I kind of, like I said, I put my roots down. My environment was perfect. My partner, Bhavna, and my 2 children, and this whole space that we live in, I feel like with partnerships, there's this thing where you're with the right partner when you know that both of you want the best for each other. Like you want the other person to grow. I think that is love.
True.
You're just wanting the other person to kind of, explode and flourish and all those things. So she was the one who kind of said, I didn't even know what Instagram was till 5 years. I mean, I had one cat picture on my page basically, and I never knew how to use it, and I never put my work out. And I was always like, oh, social media, putting yourself out there, whatever. And then I realized that it comes with my time. I'm 45 years old, and a lot of people around me are like, I don't know, I can't do this. This whole social media situation is too much for me. And then I realized we just have to move with the times. We just have to move with the times, just like you would learn a new software, which I'm very scared of still. But that's how you do it. So I started putting my work out, and I just got seen more. And I think for myself, I started to realize that, like you said at some point, you can't wait for somebody to discover you, or somebody to come and find your work. You have to put yourself out there. I think we're in that age right now, where you have the confidence to represent yourself, basically. I feel like young people already have that, but my generation of people, we're kind of just learning to put ourselves out there, be our own advocates, And
I also think it's because of tech that is playing that role.
Yeah, and you have to go with it, and I've just learned to do that. So I started Instagram, and I feel like Instagram has been so great for me. I have like a whole community of followers and stuff, which I never expected. So that's been a great business tool for me. And yeah, work-wise, I've just kept working, I haven't stopped. And I'm constantly learning, and you can never say like, yeah, now I'm at the best at this, so I have it. So yeah, you just have to be a student, and my kids teach me so much. They are my like biggest critics. And yeah, so that's...
Tell me some things that you learned recently, because like you said, one of the most common attributes amongst people who want success or who are already there at a certain level is that they constantly learn, right? So tell me about some of the things that you learned recently.
So I haven't really gone to art school, and I haven't done any courses yet, which I plan to do. But I feel like with work, and if you're working passionately and you're doing what you love, you cannot lose that at some point, and it becomes work, So I feel like what I do is I do other things that are interesting for me. I try and participate in theater, or like book readings, or gardening and learning about the environment and things like that. So that is my way of kind of, and all my art comes from nature, right? So I feel like exploring nature and spending more time outside is my kind of those are my workshops.
I think that's really nice, because if you really open yourself to learning new things, I'm sure your inspiration also comes from all these things,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Maybe a workshop that you went and then you saw something there, and
Yeah.
then you want to inculcate the same in your artistic work.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
So one of the other things that you also mentioned was the ability to have a nurturing partner.
Yeah.
The ability to have somebody by your side. It need not be a partner itself, but
Yeah.
anybody, a friend, a mentor, a parent.
Yes.
But it's so important to have the right person. And today I feel a lot of people, especially young ones,
Yeah.
they go from being dependent on their parents
Yeah.
to wanting to become independent.
Yeah.
Right? I want to do everything by myself,
Yeah.
everything by me and me and me.
Yeah.
But that is still not the ultimate thing. I've read the books, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, and he says the highest form of success comes when you're interdependent.
Yes.
When you can complement each other with your own strengths, and then it just fits perfectly like a team, and then you can actually execute and do well.
I agree, yeah. I would say for myself in this case, with mentors and coaches and people who inspire me and motivate me, I don't have to look very far, because I have a lot of women in my life, including my partner, who are motivators, they're cheerleaders, but they're also not yes people who are like, yes, you're right, you're so great, your work is so good, yes, yes, yes to everything I say. You know, you need people that challenge you a little bit and push you and say, you know, I don't think that's, you know, that work of yours is so great, or I don't think the way you did this within that community was so good. It kind of challenges you to think about your actions, to think about your communication with people, with your work. And you know, there's art, and then there's everything else I do around it, you know, my communication with people who get in touch with me and all those things. So I feel like having coaches, I have one person, Mariam Beg, who's a health coach in Bangalore, who we've become friends for the last 2 to 3 years, and she has been such a great inspiration for me as well. You know, indirectly she gives me pointers where just in conversation she'll talk about eating better, living better, being healthier, pushing yourself in terms of work. So I think having those people around is really, really, really important, and like finding the right people to be around you. You know, when you're younger, you said you want to do things independently. Kids these days want to do things independently. I think it comes from a culture of like instant gratification. It's like, I'm going to get there now.
True.
You know, but you can't. You'd have to take those steps. But everyone's in kind of a hurry now because of this whole social media culture. I have nothing against it in that way, but there is this thing where you're instantly beautiful, you're instantly successful, instantly famous, instantly rich, you know, all those things. So I feel like we forget the journey at that point. So it is important to have people that can tell you those things. So yeah, I feel like coaches are a really important.
Nice, and I think it validates my profession as well.
Yes, yeah.
Because I'm a career coach, and a lot of times when I talk to parents who I think need most of the coaching, more than the kids these days.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, because you are also a parent of teenagers,
Yes.
and I think you can validate that.
Yeah.
Because at some point of time, even if the kid wants to change,
Yeah.
the environment around the kid, which is the parent and the ecosystem, also has to adapt accordingly, which taking from your reference of what you said. So I want to ask this, Nidhi. You've been a great artist, and from what you speak, there's loads of experience in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
I want to understand, what are some of the most challenging moments in your life, and how have they defined you? If you could give me one or two.
So I think my biggest challenge and battle was with myself, honestly.
Wow.
Like sometimes people say, I don't know if you just asked me that, it said as a woman, but for myself, I've really not faced any barriers in that sense. Like everything in terms of what I wanted to do have kind of slowly happened because I've had that faith. But I've had faith, and I don't think I had faith in myself. You know what I mean?
The faith was external,
yes,
but not
everything's
internal.
going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay was a thing I always had, but I don't think I had enough faith in myself to say, I am good enough. I'm enough, you know, that I am good enough to put my art out there and say, yes, I am an artist. You know, I'd always say, when people ask me, oh, what do you do? I paint. Or something like that. And now finally I say, I'm a painter, I'm an artist, hello. You know, like, you know. So I feel my biggest barrier was myself. You kind of put yourself in prisons of your own.
Can I ask why, or is there a backstory to why that was happening?
Yeah, so I think I lived the initial part of my life. Like I said, I'm a late bloomer. Now suddenly I feel like I'm coming out of this shell. Finally, I'm so happy. I'm grateful for that. So I did everything that a good person should do or a good woman should do. You know, I went to college, then I met my partner, then I got married, then I had children, then I adopted a child, and you know, I was doing everything right. I had a little farm where I was taking care of my stuff. Things were going so beautifully, and I was just doing all the right things. And I think I was like a big people pleaser, which I still am. So I would do everything just so that everyone would think I am good, you know. But at some point you realize that you're actually failing. If you're not doing it from like deep inside, like,
Intent.
yes, with the right intent, then you're not really succeeding at even being that good person or being perceived as that. And then at some point I said, you know, it doesn't matter to me actually what people think of me or what people say. I'm going to do what feels right and what feels authentic to me. And it's still a journey. It's not easy because I'm always like, will they like me? Will they love me? You know, whatever. I mean, it's getting better. But yeah, so that was that. So at some point I said, you know, I don't want to be in a marriage. I think I have a lot more to explore with life. I think I have a lot more to give in terms of work and for people and so many things. It was a very hard part of my life. It was quite lonely and all those things where I said, I'm going to separate and I'm going to take care of my children on my own. And then I met my partner, Bhavna, who's a woman. So there was like a lot of like, you know, it was crazy. Then like the thought of losing friends and family when I made these changes. But honestly, when I think when I made that decision and I said, my life is going to flip, it doesn't matter. Whoever's going to be there with me is going to be there. Whoever's going to support my work will support me. Whoever needs to recognize the work will recognize me, and it's going to be okay. And I think when I made that shift, everything did get okay. True. And so like I said, the last 5 years have been the most liberating experience for me because I was authentic with what I wanted to do, you know, with work and with love and with my children and yeah, so.
And I think that's the true spirit of life, right? If you can do everything from a deep sense of purpose, from a sense of love and with full commitment to your action. And I think that is when you start looking at the good things and the small things of life. And I think it matters most. I also feel when you spoke about this last 10-15 years that you went through, a lot of things did happen. I, for one, want to know, at that moment, how did you cope with it? Because now looking back, you can join the dots. But at that moment, what was your thought process, especially when you were alone and you had to take care of children and you had to take care of yourself? And I'm sure you wouldn't have been in a very good mental space. So to take care of yourself by yourself is also quite hard. So how did you do that?
So what I would say is that's why I am so impressed by young people these days because they are financially independent from an early age. I feel like with that comes great strength. So for me, that was a big learning because I was not financially independent. I'm the only daughter of my family who are, you know, they will support me with anything. But I think when I separated, I was always doing work and I did projects and I made money, but I saved nothing, you know. I saved nothing because there was my husband, he's paying for school and stuff like that. Whatever money I made, I'll go and buy things for the kids, you know, because you just think this is how life is going to be forever. But when I separated, it was a wake-up call because I had no money, I had no savings. Of course, my parents were like, we'll buy you a house, we'll do this, don't worry, we'll take care of you and the kids. And I was like, no. And then I remember when I met Bhavna, I said, you know, will you help me? And she said, no, you can do this. You can do this for yourself, you know. So then I was like, how do I do this? How do I manage to pay the rent? How do I pay Chitra, who's our cook and everything? And everybody is also going through this turmoil with me because they're like, what is happening to Nidhi? You know, like this girl who used to work for me is like, Akka, what is going on with you? You're changing, you know. I was like, yes, change is going to happen, you know. And then I started teaching children art. I had to figure ways to kind of pay my bills, right?
True.
And from doing that without thinking I'm above this because I'm older, I'm 40 years old. And I said, okay, I'll start taking classes for children. That started, like, it went really beautifully. And then I started doing my art. I worked really hard. And then slowly the financial independence came. And it also came from, like I said, from being with a woman who is fiercely independent as well. So she can't see this whole thing like, she's like, no, we'll pay half of rent. I'm not going to do it alone, or you're not going to do it. So I feel like those lessons for me, coming from my time, were immense, you know.
True.
And so financial independence was a big thing for me. Now I'm doing great. I have this farm where I have people working for me. I pay salary. So every month I feel so good about myself, you know, and taking care of the kids and buying them what they want. Not everything, but, you know, just having that independence is huge for me.
I think it's a very wholesome feeling
Yeah.
because you know from where you've come and to where you are, I think it's a monumental change that you would have seen in yourself.
Yeah.
And one thing that kept hitting my head when you were speaking was this cliched quote of when the going gets tough, the tough gets going.
Absolutely. I feel like when you hit rock bottom, which I have about 3 times in my life, those were the times where my character was built, you know. So I really look at my failures as huge stepping stones for me to this thing. And even now, I feel like slowly I'm losing that fear of failing and trying new things and not being afraid of what people might say, or what, like, my failure is going to, I just know that it's going to be a learning.
Wow.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's...
For me, in my head, I must say I have so much respect, love and admiration for the person you are, because not many people tend to take these decisions, right? And people always want to be something else in their head and there's something else in reality.
Yes.
And I'm sure each one of us have gone through that phase, but it's only about taking that action, taking that first step and actually going out there and throwing yourself, you know, into that fire. And then you'll realize you can actually dance along the fire.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And taking your power back. Like, I feel like we give power to so many people around us.
Yeah.
But just taking the power that is yours back and doing what, you know, you are capable of doing. I feel like also with my daughter, you know, to see her growing up, I keep thinking like, man, I need to be an example for her of the capability of what women, I mean, not just women, anyone can do, you know, is a lot. You don't have to settle for, just settle for anything. You can really move up by, you know, continuously learning, taking risks, you know, and not being afraid of failure or death or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense because one of the other questions that I really want to ask you is that you did speak about how you were in a normal societal expected marriage.
Yeah,
and now
perfect.
perfect, yeah, the so-called perfect. And then you moved on with another partner who's a woman. A lot of people who are in the younger generation today are open to these thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Because again, technology is there, they're much more
much
aware.
exposure,
But for somebody like you to make this move at the middle of your peak, or the peak of your problem, peak of life, everything, what was the kind of things that you went through? Because I do know a lot of friends who want to make certain moves in their life but are so scared of the environment around them. And I think you could be a great example to just throw in a piece of advice or you know, a thought process that you had.
So what I would say is, you have to remember that you come alone and you go alone. Right? But then life takes you through all these journeys where there will be people that come in and go out and everything. Sometimes the people that are there around you, or the situations or whatever, might not be permanent, and change is constant, you know. So you can't say, this is my best friend and she's going to be my best friend for life, or this is my partner and it's going to be, she or he is going to be my partner for the rest of my life. Things change and you have to be okay with that. So I feel like with making decisions that feel right for you, the fear needs to be broken. I mean, that's our own journey to take, you know. You have to say, I will do this no matter what. And you have to have that grit.
Yeah,
you know,
you
and
do.
it comes with experience, I feel. Like for me, I thought I'm going to lose my whole family and all my friends. My ex-husband and I had common friends, and they were all like, what are you doing? Like, you're just like giving up on the life that you had for this, you know. Do you even know, are you going through a midlife crisis? And then I said, I was like, no, I don't think this is a midlife crisis. I think this is my truth. And I feel like if you follow your truth and if you follow that path, if you are sure, like sometimes you have doubts, right? If you have the doubts, pull back. But if you feel like I am sure, and even if you're going to fail, like even if, with Bhavna, if I said, okay, I'm going to start this life with her and it didn't work out, at least I would have done all the things that felt right for me at that point. And I'm here because I made those decisions. So I feel at some point you just have to trust your intuition, you have to trust yourself, and things will come back. Things will cycle back to you, if people around you. So what are we afraid of mostly? It's society, right? Society. Family, parents. For kids, it's like, if I do this, what are my parents going to say? If I do this, what are my friends going to say? But when you're doing things with intention, I feel everybody sees that. And if you are happy, you're going to spread that. And then people come back. It's like cyclical,
True.
So the people that are not right for you or the situations that are not right for you will fall out, and then everybody who's important comes back. So yeah, you just have to say that to yourself. This will pass. This will pass.
Yeah, and it's just that, like you said, if you do it with the right intent, then you can apply the formula of karma, right? You're doing the right thing. You're not hurting anybody.
Yes.
You're sticking to your truth. You're sticking to your roots.
Yeah.
And you're believing in your gut and your intention, and you're going behind it.
Yes.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Second, I also feel what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
When you're trying to do good outside there, or when you're trying to do good to yourself,
Yeah.
that will also show in other people perceiving you, right?
Yes.
They'll look at you in your battle. Maybe it's not about you winning the battle. I think it's the heart you show in that battle that really matters.
Yeah. Yes. I agree. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. So you do your things with the right intentions, and it will show.
Yeah.
Then people will be like, oh, she's not that bad. She's,
Yeah.
Oh, she's like, I have family who calls me now, cousins and aunts and all that, who call me or message me and congratulate me and say, oh my God, Nidhi, like after this 5 years ago, for everything that happened, they're like, what is she? Is she gay? What is going on? But now it's like, we're so proud of you. We saw this show. We saw your work. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see, this is beautiful. That,
It is.
I didn't have to go call them and say, and like explain myself. I just did what I had to do. And then everyone sees it, and now they're like, great, we love you. So, yeah.
I think now you feel, you're getting the best side of it.
Yeah.
You're seeing it, and I think it's getting better by time.
Yes. And it is work, continuous work. You can't just be like, now I've reached this place and I'm doing great. It is continuous work.
And speaking of continuous work, let's go back to your career.
Yeah.
We've known the person, we know you, we know what you're made of or how you're built. But I want to know, in terms of work, especially for an artist in India, you could get great inspiration. There's a wealth of knowledge in our culture about art. But unfortunately, it does not support the capitalistic mindset that people have today in the society. So a lot of my students sometimes ask me, I'm very good at art. They show me their art and they say, but my parents don't want me to pursue this dream of mine.
Yeah.
And they want me to do something similar. Maybe they're asking me to get into architecture where I use some of these skills.
Yeah.
What should I do?
That's funny.
Yeah. What should I do? Should I actually continue with my art? Should I leave it? I want to throw the same question to you. What would an artist say? Is it easy to make money? Is there a career there? How do we go ahead?
So what I would say right now is, I'm finding it easy to make money. Okay.
Okay.
So what I would say is, with everyone who's trying to figure this whole thing out, you try and use your passions in whatever place you are. Okay. Like suppose this person who said, my parents want me to do architecture, right? And if you have some kind of leaning towards architecture, go ahead and do it. Why do you need to stop drawing? Why do you need to stop painting? You can do it on the side. You can put your work out there. That's what I'm saying. We have like social media to promote ourselves, right? So I feel like, never feel like victimized and say, oh my God, I need to throw this away, because you cannot throw your passion away, right? Whether it's art or whatever it is. So I would say, if you're in an office, right, and you're stuck in this company and you're working there in this corporate scene for like 10 years, and you have a passion, you have the opportunity to use that passion within the office as well, right? Like suppose I liked art and I was stuck in a corporate scene for a long time, and then I said, okay guys, every Saturday morning I'll do a workshop with you. Let's do some art together, right? You're kind of building your community. You're building your confidence as well. So I feel like slowly building that confidence and not giving up on anything. and also not say, if I need to do this, I have to throw this away. You know, you can do two things. Everybody doesn't have to be one thing their whole life, is something I really believe. You know, you can be an artist for a little while, you can be a musician, you can be many things. I tell my children that as well. You don't have to be one thing your whole life. Your career doesn't have to be one option. It can be many things, because what you're doing through life, which is long and is short, is living out that experience of being a human being, right?
True.
So you don't have to be a doctor your whole life. You can be a doctor for 10 years and you can be an artist for 5 years. You have to be independent, you have to take care of yourself, make a living, and live your truth. So, you know, so I feel like with kids who are struggling with that, I would say, also there's this thing about money, right? Like financially, if your parents say, I'm not going to send you to art school, what do, right? But then you have to kind of say, okay, fine, I will take my best option, but I'm not going to give up on what I love, you know, and keep doing it. So I think the whole thing about art especially is to keep doing it. And I also feel like art is kind of a record of our history and a record of our times. So even as an artist, you might not even realize the kind of work you're doing on the side secretly and just putting it on your, you know, posts and stuff that might make a difference to someone.
True.
You know, because we are recording our times, our life through art in so many ways, like music and painting and poetry and theater and everything. So I would say never give up on it. Do it, but don't be like, now I have to do architecture, so I can't do art.
True.
You can.
You can.
You can make the time. You can. If you love it so much, you can plan your days. You know, have a routine, which is so important, which I realize now. I've always been this person who's like, I can't, you know, I have no plans, I'll wake up in the morning. But now I have a routine. I wake up, I go for a walk, I, you know, take meetings, I do, you know, and I plan my day out. So even as a student, I feel like if you plan it for your passion, you can make that time, you know.
Very true. And for that, you got to understand from where you come, what do you have.
Yes.
A bit of self-awareness is required to make that switch.
Yes.
And you also said you can't be one thing, right? Yeah. I also believe that, but I think there's only one thing you should be continuously, be authentic.
Yeah, be authentic, a continuous student as well, because you can keep learning, you know.
Yeah.
You can never think that I know everything right now, because when you're in a room full of people, you might get a little bit of a shock when you realize that you don't know everything.
You don't know.
So I think it's always important to kind of say, I'm continuously learning. And it's okay to say I don't know something. It's absolutely fine, you know.
True.
So, yeah.
Nidhi, I think it's been one fantastic conversation, and for me that 25-30 minutes we've spent, it looks like we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah. Has it been 25-30 minutes?
It has been 25-30 minutes, and I for one must say that I absolutely love your art. I've been a huge fan of it. I was showing my mum the artwork that you were doing. She loves art too, and she said, "Hey, I want to see more of it, and I want to see the conversation that you have with her as well."
Yeah.
The second part of it is more than your art. Now I like you as a person because I can spot that. How you've chiseled yourself into that authentic person, and it's taken time, like you said, right? It's taken a lot of time, and today I think you could be that story for the rest of the world to just say, hey, listen, be you, right? It's going to take time. It's going to be a seed that's going to turn into a sapling into a plant, and then a tree.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your journey here. It's been a pleasure, and I must thank Anahita for this one more time for connecting us. And Anahita is my teacher. For everybody who's watching, she's my LKG teacher, who's been super kind, super sweet, as always, from the last 25 years that I've known her. So
such a great inspiration as a woman also.
Yes, true. So thank you, Nidhi, and I hope you had a good time here.
Yes, I did. Thank you so much for having me. I really
Pleasure.
enjoyed it. Thank you. I like the questions as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.